Hi everyone and welcome to Ultimate Racing 2D2, where we've got a 10 round championship using the W Series 2021 mod that is on the Steam Workshop for the game. I've changed a couple of the drivers' overarching performance, but done very little to the mod itself, and we're going to be doing 6 laps around 10 different circuits with nice clear weather and pretty much 0 boost. So let's dive in, shall we? So round 1, here we are at Brands Hatch, which I felt would be a very good W Series style circuit to get up and running. Let's take a look at our 20 runners and riders. Looks like Bytes is going to be taking an early lead in this championship by trying to get round the first few circuits here. But as you can see, these W Series cars are slightly slower than what we've got for the general F1 mods that I usually crank out. But what that does do is generally make them a bit more easier to keep on the AI lines that people have generally carved out. So we'll see how they go. Irina Sidakova is popping out front, the Russian driver. And it looks like Sidakova is going to be taking pole position here at the Brands Hatch circuit. Indeed she does, from Bytes. Alice Powell popping through in 3rd position. So because not all of these drivers competed in all of the races, but they all competed at some point in the 2021 series, there is a bit of a weirdness with some of the academy drivers, particularly in how they're set up. But Sidorokova is on pole, ahead of Bytes, Alice Power, Sarah Moore up in 4th, ahead of Gosha Radest and Abby Pulling, Maria Marti, Fabian Volvend, Marta Garcia, Jamie Chadwick only down in 10th in the Veloci. Oh dear. Then it's Jess Hawkins, Emmy Kimmerleinen, Miki Okayama, Abby Eaton, Belen Garcia, Bruno Tomaselli, Ayla Agron, Caitlin Wood, Vicky Piria and Sabre Cook rounds out your grid. For some reason showing as Alpha Tauri? I don't think that's correct. Something's gone wrong there with that. Never mind. So 6 laps, it looks like the tyres are going to make it, and Sidorokova gets off to a decent start ahead of Visa, but it looks like Sarah Moore's having a go at Ala Power, who goes out ride, and Gosha Radest gets back past Abby Pulling. It looks like everyone else has made it through okay. Oh, it looks like Miki Koyama and Abby Eaton there getting stuck together. That allowed Caitlin Wood to get through as the drivers make their way around the back of the circuit of Brands, and it looks like Sidokova's got a lovely lead there from Visa. Then it's Powell, Sarah Moore taking a little look, but that's chopped her off, and look at Gosha Radest is about to go down the inside, and that will get her 4th position. Sarah Moore drops down to 5th. Alice Powell's having a go at Bytes and takes 2nd position down into turn 1 and then into the hairpin. Looks like they're going to get it, and look at Gosha Radest diving through up into 3rd position. She was never that high in the real series, and it looks like she's about to have 2nd. Nope, gets chopped off by Alice Powell, and that lets Bytes back through again. Sarah Moore down to 5th position ahead of Abby Pulling. Maria Marti running out wide. Fabian Volven taking a watching brief. Jamie Chadwick only up to 9th. Not sure what's happened there with Jess Hawkins in the top 10. Woods, Garcia, Kimmerleinen, Koyama, Eaton, Tomaselli, Garcia, Cook, Piria and Agrin rounding out the field as they drop back somewhat. Gosha Radest with a little bit of damage there, losing out to Bytes. Remember, these cars are all equal. Oh, that was naughty there by Powell and Vice. And indeed, they've all closed back up again on Irina Sidakova, who has been absolutely caught up front with the lead. So here they go. Powell gets into the slipstream, not able to do anything, runs out wide. That's not helpful, and the 3 of them have pulled away now from Gosha Radest. Sarah Moore looks like she's trying to get 4th position, but she won't do that by just ramming into the back of the driver as Powell goes round the outside, and it looks like Alice Powell is going to take the lead. Indeed she does, the British driver up into 1st place ahead of the Russian. Then it's Bytes now in 3rd. Sarah Moore looks like she's on a charge, up into 4th. Radest, then Marty and Pullin, and a huge back to Fabian Volven. Jamie Chadwick has caught her back up again, and then it's the rest of the field kind of ploughing their way through with Tomaselli, Garcia, Cook and Piria and Agron off the back of the pack. And it looks like Power's getting away. Weiss has now been caught and passed by Gosha Ridest, Nerea Marti and Sarah Moore. One goes one way, one goes the other. Is anyone going to get past Beitske? Ooh. 3 wide! Ho, 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 ho. That was tricky, but Nerea Marti looks like she's got it covered and is now all over her teammate, Sidorkova. And well, Sidorkova has gone from having the early lead to now being off the podium as she drops down into 4th position. Oh, well. That's not great driving. That looked like juicy stuff going further back. Yes, indeed, it was Jamie Chadwick who's lost to Volvend and has now got Kimmerleinen and Hawkins to deal with. Let's look at the way how damage is starting to play a part in this game. Lap 5 of 6. These races go quickly. Moore and Pullin now under attack by the undamaged, pretty much, Fabian Volvend. Sidorkova tries desperately to bash Nerea Marti out of the way. Not exactly the cleanest driving there by Irina Sidorkova, but there we go. As Powell crossed the line to start her final lap, she's got 3/4 of a second over Gosha Ridest. Nerea Marti now does exactly what Irina Sidorkova did to her, but I think it's actually wrong-footed Marti, and through goes Beitske back up into 4th position. More pulling Volvend, keeping a watching brief. Jamie Chadwick, the series champion, being very coy down in 9th place. She's got a lot to do if she wants to get up some positions in the final couple of corners. It looks like she's going to have a go at Fabian Volvend, but P9 or 8, not exactly what we expect from the champ. But it is Alice Powell who's going to come around to win round 1 here at Brands Hatch with a nice juicy victory. Gosha Ridest second, Irina Sidorkova third, then it's Visser, Marti, Moore just holds off Pullin, Volvend just holds off Chadwick, Kimmerleinen gets a top 10 ahead of Hawkins. Caitlin Wood, I think, will be pleased with 12th place ahead of Koyama. Garcia, Eaton, Tomaselli. Then it's Belen Garcia, the second of the Garcias. Ayla Agron got ahead of Sabra Cook, and Vicky Piria lost out that 19th place at the very end. Ends up with 0 points in the Serum. So there are your standings. As always, doing the higher plane game scoring sheet for the top 20, where the top 19 get points, and the sadly last place gets an out. And who would have thought the W Series Academy drivers lead the way? Not quite sure what's happened there. Okay, we're off to Brno next. Will it be a Briesse? For our current championship leader. Entirely sure, but Nerea Marti looks like she quite fancies a pole position ahead of Marta Garcia as we go around the first couple of turns. I picked this one out especially because we don't get to see tracks with snow all the way around them, and the Brno circuit looks pretty picturesque with it in as they make their way around. I could also see this being a really good circuit for this style and category of racing, even though it is primarily a motorbike circuit these days. Lots of chicanes, or chicanery, to try and get round. But it looks like Nerea Marti and Marta Garcia, who was barely anywhere in race 1, looks like they're going to be the front row for race 2. Well, Nerea Marti certainly was in the mix for race 1, but Marta Garcia was not. Neither was Bruna Tomaselli, who's done very well. Powell and Sidorkova did exactly the same time, but Powell gets the position. And again, what has happened to Jamie Chadwick? 13th in the Veloce. No good there. 2.17s covers the field, and Gosha Ridest down the back too. So this could very well be a swings and roundabouts series, where it's actually quite difficult to see who's going to be leading away. But Nerea Marti is the lady that leads. Oh, and does a little chop there on Marta Garcia. Bruna Tomaselli fancying a little look into second, but she's going to get wrong-footed, and Alice Powell gets through. Or does she? No, she hits the line. And look, Tomaselli there just ending up losing plenty of positions to Sidorkova as well as we go through the middle section. Abby Eaton there up into 6th position. Sarah Moore just behind. And looking back, that's Jamie Chadwick pushing her way past Emma Kimmerleinen. But she's got Belen Garcia to deal with. Ayla Agron has dropped off the back of the field slightly as well, so she must have been in strife. As round the final corner, Beitske Visser ends up in the snow, as does Sarah Moore. And look at Volvend and Pullin pushing their way through. Very odd as they try to push their ways around, getting the next positions through. Abby Eaton having a look at Bruno Tomaselli for 5th and 6th and loses positions as a result. Or does she? No, she gets them back again. It's all swings and roundabouts through these tight, twisting corners. Such a flow, the Brno circuit, but very difficult to get some overtakes done. Gosha Rodest not having a repeat of round one as Marta Garcia leads the way quite convincingly there from Nerea Marti. Oh, Sidakova smashing into the back of her teammates. Those two can't get enough of each other. Smashing each other's cars to pieces. Good job damage is on low. And look at Alice Powell just blasting her way through suddenly up into second position, avoiding the overrun of AI lines. Oh, that looks dramatic behind. It is indeed. Irina Sidakova and Nerea Marti having to ghost out because of problems there, and Sarah Moore's ghosted out too, and that's allowed Abby Eaton up into a very clear third as Alice Powell has a look at Marta Garcia for the lead, going one way or the other, and it looks like she's gone for the overtake but catches the snow by cutting the corner ever so slightly too much, and that's allowed Marta Garcia back in front ahead of Alice Powell. Eaton and Moore battling over the final podium slots. Then it's Brno Tomaselli, Volven, Sidorkova, Nerea Marti. Then it's Abby Pullin who's dropped back. Belen Garcia having a much better run this time around. Jess Hawkins, Beitska Visser and Jamie Chadwick outside the top 10 this time. And Miki Koyama seems to be holding up the back end of the pack with Ayla Agron off the back of the field entirely. As nothing seems to stay too the same for too long. And Marta Garcia's got a penalty. Was that for chopping up Alice Powell? I'm not sure, but Powell's into the lead with 2 to go. Can she hold it for 2 out of 2? I'm not sure, because look at Abby Eaton flying in and takes the lead from absolutely nowhere. I'm not quite sure how this is all working, but never mind. Eaton now leads from Garcia, Powell, Moore, Tomaselli, Marti, Volven, Sidorkova absolutely damaged her car and is dropping back through the field. And it looks like we've got a few tail end stragglers that are dropping out, and that looks like Garcia has now given Abby Eaton a penalty, so it swings and roundabouts again as Marta Garcia takes the lead, the Spanish racer, onto the final lap. Then it's Powell and Eaton, 2 Brits battling over the other end of the podium. They look clear for now, but you can never tell as Marti, Tomaselli, Moore, Sidorkova, Volvend all squabble over the remaining top 8 positions. And indeed, Powell's really lost it off the back here. It's Moore diving down the inside of Brno Tomaselli. Much better run this time around. Again, Chadwick nowhere to be seen, despite having the top rank of what's going on driver-wise. So this series really is an issue. Oh, Garcia again cuts that snow out of the final corner, but it looks like she's got the win. She has, from Abby Eaton. Alice Powell third. Marti, Tomaselli, Moore, Volven, Sidorkova. Then it was either Pullin or Garcia. Jess Hawkins starts off in 11th. Then it's Beitska Visser, Jamie Chadwick only 13th. Kimalainen only 14th. Miki Koyama not showing the same form as she did in Season 1, down in 15th. Ahead of Caitlin Wood, Vicky Piria gets points this time. Ahead of Gosha Rodest and Sabra Cook. Ayla Agrin just wasn't with the races compared to anyone else, and you can see it with the lap times almost dropping off them. No, Sabra Cook was slower. But yeah, not the finest runs by Agron there. What does that do to the championship? It keeps Alice Powell very much up front. Nerea Marti into second. Marta Garcia jumps up into third ahead of Sokova. Then it's Moore, Eaton, Vesa, Rodest, Volvend and Abby Pulling rounding out your top 10. Jamie Chadwick only 13th at the moment. Kimalainen only 14th. Some real shocks after 2 rounds in the W Series so far. We're off over the waters to Mossport for a retro Canadian Grand Prix. I love the flow of the Mossport circuit. And again, I think this would be another one that would suit Indy, I think, as well as other areas. As Sarah Moore looks like she quite fancies grabbing a pole position this time. As a topsy-turvy world of W Series 2021 continues. But Powell, Emma Kimalainen looks like she's woken up for this round and got herself going again. Lots of the AI lines here catching the inside corners of stuff, but no one has an answer to Sarah Moore, who had takes an excellent pole position there ahead of Emma Kymäläinen. Powell up into third, Marty Pullin, Eaton, Garcia, Weiser, Sidakova, Chadwick into the top 10 this time at least. Jess Hawkins slightly out of position, potentially in 16th as well this time around. So, Sarah Moore straight away covers Emma Kymäläinen off the line to take the lead. Marta Garcia having a look at Alice Powell, but Powell's diving down the inside because Kymäläinen's gone out wide, but that's because she wants the other area for the next time, and Powell slides round the outside to take first position from both Moore and Kymäläinen. That is a powerful beast of a move. Powell into the lead, Moore down to second. Kymäläinen fancies a run round the outside too. Brave stuff. Oh, she catches the inside grass, as does Moore when she tries to take Powell as well. Pulling then suddenly finds herself up into the lead. So it's mentor versus master, or apprentice rather, between Powell and Pulling, but not for long because Moore and Eaton dive straight into the mix too. Garcia and Marty are trying to make their way back into the mix too, but they haven't really done themselves much of a favour as they're all trying to push each other around. Nerea Marti, Bruno Tomaselli getting mixed up there as well. There's Gosha Radest passing Weiser, Garcia and Koyama. Jamie Chadwick is 15th, about to take Fabian Volven. Those two have been nose to tail all the way through, as well as Piria and Cook drop off the back of the field. It's Powell that leads though from Eaton, Pulling, Moore, Marty, Garcia, Kymäläinen, Tomaselli, Weiser, Koyama up into the top 10 for the first time this season. As Abby Pulling, ooh, again, it seems like you catch your grass on one side and then like get through on the next one, or it's the other way around. So everyone really wrong-footing themselves as Avi Pulling gets back into the lead. Powell does another beastie move round the outside. Nerea Marti doing the same thing, then switches to the inside for the back end of the circuit, but Pulling manages to just about hold Marti off. He's got a wee bit of damage, so needs to take a little bit of slipstreaming love from Abby Pulling in order to make hay. But I think she's going to make the hay with 2 to go. Up into second place ahead of Pulling, Eaton, Moore, Tomaselli, Garcia, Kymäläinen, Weiser, Koyama, Sidorkova. Balan Garcia kicks off the second half of the field. But again, look, Nerea Marti trying to go around the outside, doing a Powell that Powell's been doing to everyone else. Alice Powell says, I don't think so. Thank you very much. Retakes that lead. That allows Abby Eaton back through, and Marty's now down to the third step of the podium, although Abby Pulling would like to say something about that as we get onto the final lap. She won't though, because she catches the curbs. Sarah Moore started on pole. She's not even going to get a top 5 at this rate as Bruno Tomaselli dives through. It looked like Koyama was about to have a go at Kymäläinen as here comes Abby Pulling down the outside around Abby Eaton. Alice Powell, though, looks like she may well have this one under control just about, coming round to the final couple of corners. She's going to dip it in the dirt. Yes, she is, but so's Pulling and Eaton, and they do the other thing as it comes to the line. Is Pulling going to get it? I think Abby Pulling's got the win there from Alice Powell on the line. Wow. That was close. Abby Eaton grabs third, and then it's Nerea Marti, Bruno Tomaselli, Sarah Moore ending up down in 6th position after all of that. Look, just 500ths of a second. Wow, that was crazy. Sarah Moore then ends up down in 6th after pole position. Marta Garcia was 7th. Miki Koyama, best of the season so far, into 8th. Emma Kymäläinen is 9. Beitska Visser 10. Chadwick, another terrible start from a terrible grid slot, only gets her 11th. But she wasn't exactly setting the times alight either. Then it's Sidorkova, Belen Garcia, Gosha Radest. That first season result seems to have been a bit of a false dawn. Fabian Volvend getting a little bit caught up in everyone else's issues there too. Then Jess Hawkins seemed to have the speed, as did Gosha Radest to be fair in terms of the lap times. Ayla Agram, much better performance there, ahead of Caitlin Wood, Vicky Piria and Sabra Cook. They might have been faster than some of the ones ahead of them, but they didn't make it to the line correctly. So Alice Powell then extends her advantage over Nerea Marti. Abby Pulling moves up into 3rd, ahead of Abby Eaton. Then it's Marta Garcia, Sarah Moore, good result there, keeping her in 6th. Ahead of Sidorkova, Tomaselli, Weiser and Podest. Who else was a mover and shaker? I'd say Emma Kymäläinen jumps up the order potentially against Jamie Chadwick. Miki Koyama also leapfrogs a couple of drivers too, including Jess Hawkins and Belen Garcia. Towards the back, Ayla Agron, I think, leapfrogs Vicky Piria as well. The W Series team's already on 100 races as we go to our Japanese event at Okayama, or Aida if you're a 90s child like myself. Okay, so who's got the juice this time around? Looks like Emma Kimmerleinen quite fancies taking Alice Powell and Beitske Visser to account as they move their way through. Once again, there's a lot of cutting of curbs and stuff, and I wonder if this is because as you play with faster cars with the F1 routes, it's less noticeable that you're cutting corners and losing time on the curbs and the grass. And maybe that's what pulls this out as you go around the different AI curve, lower formula. But Alice Powell, once again, looks like she is top billing as the cars cross the line ahead of Emma Kimmerleinen and Beitske Visser, then third on the grid. So that will do quite nicely. Jamie Chadwick up into 5th this time around, so things starting to look a little bit better. She's brought a teammate, Bruno Tomaselli, along for the ride in the top 10 too. Koyama top Sirin. Marta Garcia down in 10. Sarah Moore down in 15th. That's not her strongest suit. Abby Eaton in 13th as well. So a couple of the higher championship runners towards the back end of the field. Tyres should last fine here as Powell Kimmerleinen battle off the line. It looks like Kimmerleinen is trying to go down the inside. That'll become the outside for turn 2 though. Ooh, and look at Jamie Chadwick flying around the outside, and teammate Bruno Tomaselli too. So both Veloces looking good as we get down to the back end of the circuit. Then down the back straight, and it's Emma Kimmerleinen then leading the way. Caitlin Wood, a terrible start. But then under braking, that looked like Chadwick broke way too early and let Visser and Powell through as it's pulling versus Kovalainen? Kimmerleinen? Oh dear, Freudian slip. As they make their way down the back straight, lots of bugging out of drivers having problems. Fabian Volven didn't get well off the line, but seemed to have made up loads of positions and is now dropping them all again. As Wood and Piri are really losing out. Abby pulling nearly 2 seconds advantage over Kimmerleinen. Here comes Powell, Chadwick, Visser, and it seems like some of the overtake lines are way more powerful than what the actual racing line is. So this could be problematic as here comes Chadwick having a look at Kimmerleinen, not able to do it. Tomaselli nearly having a look back and then look at Chadwick just diving round the outside, having a great run there up against Beitske Visser, who's quite damaged as Alice Powell starts to reel in Abby pulling as they go down the home straight. There goes Jamie Chadwick up into the podium positions. It's taken her a few rounds, but she's finally arrived on the scene. Let's see what she can do as... Look at Abby Eaton having a go, and yeah, look, it's the normal line that's the problem. So as soon as you stop trying to overtake someone, you lose out massively as Alice Powell takes the lead, and that's why Visser's now got round pulling as well, and she's gone from a 2-second lead to being absolutely mugged as Sidorkova gets round Garcia, but not for long. Garcia goes around the outside and gets it back again. Koyama's really lost out from her grid slot. Caitlin Wood still trying to recover from a terrible lap 1. As Alice Powell leads the way, here comes Visser and pulling. Lap 4 of 6, pulling back up into second position. Eaton versus Kivalainen. And look at that again, it's the overtake 1 mark, and the same for Alice Powell getting back ahead of Abby pulling. Bruno Tomaselli weaving her way around cars as well. It's looking absolutely juicy for her. And that should look good for Volven against Redest. In fact, she's nearly caught back up again with Sarah Moore, who has made up places, but it's not being her finest weekend of racing action. Alice Powell then just under a second away. That wasn't enough for pulling when it was roles reversed the other time around. So we'll see how it goes. Volvend and Redest side by side. I think Gosha will get that back again. Indeed she does. As here comes Powell. But it looks like everyone was trying to take the normal line except for Jamie Chadwick, who zooms around the outside and goes from 5th to 3rd in one fell swoop, and then has enough momentum to pull herself right up onto the back of Abby Pulling. So have a go at 2nd. I don't think Jamie will get that. No, she will not. What will she do here, though? Because she's now in prime position to overtake versus the normal racing line. And now she's back to normal. It's Visa who's trying to have a go. But Jamie Chadwick, that's juicy. Up into 2nd onto the final lap. Working out really well for her. And Alice Powell runs out wide, and suddenly Jamie Chadwick's got the line to potentially look at overtaking. Will she go wide? Yes, she will. Alice Powell cuts into the grass on the normal line. That's not worked for her. She's gone defensive, though, as Chadwick goes for overtake line 2. But tucks back into normal, which means that Alice Powell gets to escape ever so slightly. And that may well have sealed the fate for Alice Powell and Jamie Chadwick in their battle for the win. Tyres really knackered by the end of this as Powell comes around the final corner. Chadwick struggling too, catching those curbs, but it's Alice Powell that wins. Chadwick 2nd, Pulling 3rd, Visa 4th. Then it's Kimmerleinen, Bruno Tomaselli, Abby Eaton, Marta Garcia, Nerea Marti. Irina Sidakova rounds out the top 10. Belen Garcia, Sarah Moore, Fabian Volvend, Jess Hawkins. Then it's Gosha Rades just beating home Miki Koyama, Ayla Agrin. That's Vicky Peary and Sabre Cook just behind, and Caitlin Wood seemed detached from the field for most of that race, if not all of it. And indeed, the only driver actually to not break the 45-second mark. So not a good run for Caitlin there. And so she gets 0 points. Alice Powell breaks the 100-point mark after 4 rounds. Really looking quite dominant, you have to say. Ahead of Pulling, Marti, Eaton, Garcia. Visser, Moore, Tomaselli, Chadwick moves up into 9th after that. Equal on points with Sidakova, but has a better finishing position. Kimmerleinen now in 11th. As Rades gets caught by the rest of the field after that early start. Okay, time for some Formula E action, did I hear you say? This might go horrifically. There's an awful lot of barriers around this circuit, but I'm hoping that the Tempelhof circuit, which I think is one of my favourite ones of Formula E, can actually provide some good racing. We'll soon find out. It looks nice and clean so far as Irina Sidakova pops herself back out front for looking like she fancies her 2nd pole of the year. Again, I feel like this would be a good circuit for Formula 3, Formula 4 style racing. It's out of the final curves. Irina takes the victory of pole position seeking. Marta Garcia up there doing well. Powell only 6th though, that's the lowest she's been this season, which is interesting. Caitlin Wood, a much better run there, looking like she wants to try and put herself to amends. Bruno Tomaselli down in 18th though. That's not good for her. Off the line. And Marta Garcia not... Oh, there. Marta Garcia hits the inside wall. So did Jamie Chadwick there. And indeed some of them are doing it around the next corner. It's a good job there's only 6 laps. This could well be a damage survival race as Sidakova leads the way then from Garcia. Marti pulling more. Powell gets down past Visser for 6th and 7th. Side by side they continue. It looks like Visser's got the position for now. As Martin Pulling, they bounce off the barriers for each other. That's not great at all, but they have survived just about as they go through the extremely tight corners there. As Tomaselli there gets put into the wall. Koyama does too, as does Ayla Agrin. Koyama gets those positions back towards the back end of the field. It's looking very busy towards the tail. There's 3 wide, Wood, Piria and Tomaselli. That's not going to work. Ayla Agrin there into the wall too. But up front, it's Irina Sidakova, Marta Garcia, Nerea Marti. I don't see an Alice Powell, and that's because she's down in 7th. She's lost places so far this race, as Gosha Rodest looks like she's having a return to form. Abby Eaton looking like she wants to bully her, though. In fact, Rodest is in a teammate sandwich there, as Jamie Chadwick, Jess Hawkins trying to have a better run of it in 12th. Ooh, just about holding off Belen Garcia. The back end of the field has kind of thinned itself out a little bit now as Sidakova, Marti and Pullen continued on their way. Sarah Moore's got round Marta Garcia. Marta Garcia with a fair bit of damage there. That might start to hold her up down the straights. And indeed, look at how Powell is able to immediately pull up onto the back of it. She smacks the inside wall though, which is not helpful. That more wrong foots Marta Garcia though with the ping pong action and allows Beitska Visser to get through. I think people need to play shots for the amount of times I repronounce Beitska Visser's name in this recording. It's not gone well. You can tell I'm doing this early in the morning, can't you? Jamie Chadwick up into 10th, but not able to do anything about Gosha Rodest or Emma Kimalainen. Though she's trying to go around the outside, which might work if she hits the wall. Rodest does anyway. Yep. Looks like she's going to be pushed wide and get back through, but no, she backs out of it. And if anything, Gosha's now going to have a go at Emma Kimalainen. Runs out wide, and that allows Jamie Chadwick back up into 9th place. The field definitely quite spread out here because of the nature of the circuit. Sometimes there's just one racing line through some of this stuff. So Sidorkova and Marti are pulled away from pulling. That's Alice Powell taking 4th place away from Sarah Moore. That's key, because with 2 to go, that now releases Alice Powell to have a good go at other people. Marta Garcia then looking at 5th place potentially from Sarah. The field pulling through. Saber Cook, the one currently sitting in the 0 point area. Wow, it's definitely a 5-way run for the top of the order. And in fact, it's looking like a 2-way scrap between Nerea Marti and Irina Sidakova. Marti there hitting the barrier, and that's kind of cost her the run down to turn 1. Sidakova and Marti and, well, everyone into the wall there as the tyres get knackered. So this is going to be a who's cleanest, I think. And Sidakova looks like she's got it. Abby Pulling's pulling onto the back of Marti, but it's Marti who's got the slipstream. But then she taps the wall, and that's really wrong-footed her, and I think allowed Irina Sidakova to get away with it. And Sidakova looks like she's on course for her very first win. Oh, Pulling versus Marti. That's not a good look as the two of them spank into each other and then into the walls. And that's allowed Pulling to get 2nd place, but it has kept Sidorkova up front and winning the Tempelhof Grand Prix. Pulling, Marti, Powell off the podium for I think the first time this year. Then it's more Visser, Garcia, Kimalainen. Eaton narrowly gets Chadwick on the line. Then it's Garcia, Rodest, Volven, Koyama, Jess Hawkins. That car absolutely blown to bits. Same with Tomaselli. Vicky Piria looked like she had similar issues. Caitlin Wood, Ayla Adgren and Sabre Cook was the only driver to not score a point. Only just as well, less than 2 tenths behind Ayla Adgren. So close battling throughout. So whilst Powell was off the podium, Abby Pulling was on it, as was Nerea Marti and Irina Sidakova. So the top 4 in the championship were the top 4 in the race. Eaton there down into 5th. Head of Garcia, Moore, Visser, Chadwick, Tomaselli into the top 10. Kimalainen, it's not really happened for her yet. Same with Rodest. Looked like she was having a bit of a recapture of form. Agrin and Piria equal on points for 18th and 19th currently at the moment too. We're off to Imola. Why not? So again, a nice current version layout of the Imola circuit. Let's see how we get on. And Jess Hawkins, hello. Where have you been all season? Popping up into the top of the order. can she do anything about staying there and taking a surprise and shock front row or pole position? Doesn't look like it, because Irina Sidakova has suddenly popped herself up into a mighty fine position, and around the final couple of corners looks like she's going to be the one who takes pole position by quite some way from Emma Kymäläinen after all that. Wow. Then Abby Eaton, the Akuri Series team, doing a fab job to get second and third. Then it's Powell, Marty, Volven, Jess Hawkins up in seventh. That's still her best, I think, of the season. More Garcia and Tomaselli next. And Visser pulling Chadwick, Piria, one of her better runs. Okayama not so great. Agron the only one outside the 2 seconds of pole. Off and away we go for 6 laps around Imola. And Kymäläinen looking like she fancies trying to get pole, but is immediately cut off there by Sidorkova as the field make their way quite tentatively round the first couple of laps there. Saber Cook again losing out at the start by over a second. And look at Kymäläinen diving through up into second past Abby Eaton. Eaton now fancies a run through, and Kymäläinen takes the lead by going around the outside at the Aqua Minerale. Nicely done. Then it's Sidorkova, Eaton. Fabian Volvend has returned back to the front end of the field after a couple of races in the wilderness, and she's fancying having a look at Alice Powell. Not able to do much about it, as there is Marty. Jess Hawkins still up in 7th place. She'd love to keep that there. Vicky Piria up to 12th. That's a much better showing from the Italian. As Abby Eaton slots inside Irina Sidakova to take second place. It's an Akuri 1-2 at the moment, but there's Alice Powell. Coming steaming through. Once again up into the podium slots. That looked like Garcia getting around more there. Again, Jamie Chadwick. I have to... she has been given the highest possible rating you can as a driver, and yet it's just not happened for her this season. Clearly the way how these tracks have been cut with lines are probably penalising her by pushing her onto the grass more. As Kymäläinen then leads the way from Powell now up into second, and it looks like Powell's going to try and take the lead with a impressively crazy move there into the Aqua Minerale before we get into the chicane, and then the Ravazzas down at the bottom, and it looks like Powell's got it then from Kymäläinen, Eaton, Sidorkova. It's gone from pole to 4th. Is she going to go back into 3rd again? I don't think she is. No. She's going to give Eaton a big old push though, and poor old Abby Eaton, who had her own back issues when she had that horrible accident over the curves, might well have another one if she continues being rear-ended like that. No good at all. Now Fabian's got involved. Poor Abby. Anyway, Emma Kymäläinen then second. Then it's Eaton, Volven, Sidorkova. Looks like Fabian Volven's going to take 3rd position. Indeed she does. 2 to go as the field dive their way through. Taking a look back there. Abby pulling. Only down in 10. Jess Hawkins now outside the top 10, unfortunately. So she's dropped back slightly. Jamie Chadwick only 14th. Vicky Piria now down to 15th position, and Miki Koyama 19th. That's her worst of the season. Saber Cook 3 seconds off the back nearly, having a pretty torrid time of things. But Powell's been caught by Fabian Volvend, the Liechtenstein-born driver who races under a Swiss licence. Makes her way round the Ravazzas and quite fancies a run at the lead. This is definitely Fabian's best run for some time, if not all season long. What can she do? Abby Eaton's car and Sidorkova, to be fair, looking a little bit knackered. Marta Garcia has joined onto the back of this right at the end. And there's Kymäläinen diving past Fabian Volvend for 2nd position. Developed a lisp all of a sudden there, not quite sure. And there comes Emma. Does she fancy a lunge at Alice Powell at the final corner? Ooh, she did, but she couldn't do anything of it. And it's Alice Powell then that wins again from Emma Kymäläinen. Then it's Fabian Volvend. What was that at the line? I think Eaton got it from Sidorkova, Garcia and more, but that was very close. Then it was Marty. Tomaselli in 9. Jess Hawkins grabbed 10th place in the end, so a good run from her. Then it's Abby Pullin and co. Let's just check who got where. Yeah, so despite it being 2.90 together, it was given to Eaton ahead of Sidakova, then Garcia and Moore, Marti Tomaselli, Jess Hawkins in the top 10. Abby Pulling beat home teammate Goshi Radest, then it was Belen Garcia, Jamie Chadwick. What is going on there? Bizarre. And even more shocking, Beitske Visser 17th. Wow. Really, really struggling there. Ayla Agrin even posting a faster lap that time around. Well, Miki Koyama just did not get into the groove there at all. I think she was a slowest driver overall. Even Saber Cook was faster, but wasn't able to put it together over this whole series to continue. On to Baku then. This could be another weird and crazy one. Where Fabian Volvend has taken an early lead. Oh, not for long. I think Nerea Marti quite fancies a little bit of action there. Miki Koyama, after a torrid time in Imola, looking much more at home. Miki was very much my confusion in Season 2 of W Series. She's done so well in Season 1 and then just had a poor year the next time around and was off the grid for Season 3. So Fabian Volvend, though, taking a excellent pole from Visser. Garcia, Chadwick up in 4th. Hello. Welcome to the party. Marti Sidakova, more Powell only 8th. Koyama in the top 10 ahead of Pulling. Bruno Tomaselli down in 17th. Abby Eaton only 14th as well. So let's see how we get on. Again, tyres will be a bit knackered throughout this race, but Fabian Volvend crossed to Krotz Visser to take the lead. Belen Garcia hits the wall there after her best starting grid of the season. Can she convert into something better with it? I'm not sure. We'll see how we go. Chadwick all over the back of them, as is Nerea Marti. Oh, contact there is... Ah! Well, that would have been a race over incident if that was in real life. That's allowed Sirdikova and Miki Koyama to dive up into 5th and 6th positions. Koyama fancies a go at Beitske Visser and indeed moves into 4th place. As look at Belen Garcia. Is she holding everyone up and allowing Fabian Volvend to get away? Not entirely sure. Belen Garcia now losing out to Nerea Marti. Tries to hold on around the outside. Side by side go the duo. This is just allowing Fabian to get even further and further away. But Nerea Marti gets it. Belen Garcia then down to 3rd. Chadwick now up into 4th, but with a damaged car. Miki Koyama into 5th. Having a go at Chadwick. Oh, spanks the wall heavily. Same for, I think that was Jess Hawkins behind, losing out lots of positions. Powell now down to 10th. This is not her race. Fabian Volvend well clear of the field as Belen Garcia takes 2nd position back again. This is a great showing by Belen as Nerea Marti retakes 2nd place again. That looks like Chadwick having a go, not able to do anything in 4th. Koyama, Moore, Visser, Pulling, Sidakova, Hawkins, Radest, Powell now down in 12th. This is not her run. Ayla Agrin up into 13th. That's by far her best run of the season. Then Abby Eaton, I've just seen down in 18th, having a torrid time. As Volvend, 2.8 seconds, now 3.08 seconds lead the way. Marti versus Garcia, take 1 million down into turn 1. Garcia again. Just losing out, but they seem to have pulled out a little mini gap over the Chadwick and Koyama scrap. Then it's Sarah Moore. That's Visser battling with Pulling. Hawkins, Radest, there's Powell versus Tomaselli. It looks like Tomaselli is going to push Powell into the wall. Oh dear. So again, and that's put Ayla Agrin in for a penalty, which has dropped her back behind Sidakova, Piria and Garcia. In fact, Vicky Piria trying the under move down at turn 15. That's not worked for her. Fabian Volvend in a class of her own. Is it because of the ongoing battle between Belen and Nerea? It looks like it will be, although Belen Garcia seems to have got it into her advantage. Jamie Chadwick now up into 4th. but not really able to do too much about the two ahead. Then it's Koyama and Moore. Visser pulling. There's Hawkins, Regest. Powell now in 11th, having a go at Gosha. Is she going to get it? I think she is, because Gosha Regest hits the wall. Next up for her is Jess Hawkins. Not able to do anything there as we reach onto the final lap. A fab run by Fabian Volven. She's being closed down by Belen Garcia and Araya Marti, but I don't think they've got enough. Oh, maybe they have got enough time. They've really closed up. Crazy stuff there. Then it's Chadwick, Koyama, Moore and Co behind. But I think Abby Eaton is going to end up potentially last as Caitlin Wood bashes her way through. Here comes Fabian Volvend. Well, I hope she was just coasting to the line, because that was a horrible drop-off of pace. But she wins. Fabian Volvend wins from Belen Garcia in second. A great run by both of them. Nerea Marti third. Jamie Chadwick fourth. Miki Koyama, her best of the season in 5, ahead of Sarah Moore. Weitska Visser, Abby Pulling, Jess Hawkins, Gosha Redest back in the top 10. Ahead of Bruno Tomaselli. Alice Powell down in 12th place. Wow. Marina Sidakova, then Marta Garcia, Vicky Piria, Ayla Agrin, Emma Kimmerleinen only 17th. Then it was Sabre Cook, Caitlin Wood and Abby Eaton. Yes, the car was damaged, but that was a poor running by the Brit down in 20th. In fact, both Akuris really struggling there. But a huge shout out to Belen Garcia, who pulled out the fastest lap in the last lap of the race and absolutely smashed it with by far her best result of the season. So what does that do to the championship? We've still got 3 races to go, and Alice Powell still has a 40-point lead despite having a pretty poor round at Baku. Nerea Marti 2 points ahead of Abby Pulling. Then Arina Sidakova just ahead of Sarah Moore, whose consistency has kept her in that position really. Then it's Marta Garcia. Fabian Volvend leaps up to 7th. Abby Eaton slips all the way down to 8th with that non-score. A real shock there. Then Visser Chadwick in the top 10 still, but only just ahead of Emma Kimmerlein and Bruno Tomaselli. Belen Garcia with that second place leapfrogs up to 13th. Ahead of Redest, Hawkins, Miki Koyama with that 5th place kind of catches back up again with Jess Hawkins. Caitlin Wood has got a couple of points over Vicky Piria and Ayla Agrin, with Sabre Cook, who's been our large last place finisher most of the time. She's not really had a boost up from anything beyond that, keeping herself down in last. Who fancies a bit of Zandvoort? I certainly do. Again, I feel like this circuit is perfect for F3 and Co. Sorry, that really threw me off that the pit lane's on the wrong side of the track, but I get why they've done it. I was like, are we at Zandvoort? We are. Oh dear. So Kimmerlein and Sidakova looking quite juicy. Koyama up again, looking quite good too. But it looks like it's an Emma Kimmerleinen potential pole here going on, as she's pulled out a wee bit of an advantage over Sidakova. Again, everyone's spanking into the gravel around that final curve. I think that might be a big thing for how this race pans out, and some people were able to take that final corner flat, others were not, and I think that has changed. Who's got pole? To Marta Garcia. Indeed it has. Ahead of Moore, Kimmerleinen, Sidakova, Redest up there into 5th place. That's a good showing from her again. Pulling, Powell, Chadwick, Koyama and Visser. Volven down in 12th. Agrin 15, Belen Garcia back down to 16th after all of that. Tomaselli towards the back, and Sabre Cook not looking great for her. 2.5 seconds off pole. Off we go. Again, this is going to be a race where tyre wear is of the essence, but Garcia leads the way from Sarah Moore, who's moved into 2nd, then Kimmerlein and Sidakova, and the 2 W Series Academy drivers running behind. Powell in 7. And look at Abby Pulling and Sidakova. In fact, taking that inside line has really hurt quite a few drivers as Nerea Marti flies up through the field. Again, the overtake lines are so powerful, I think, because of just how this series' cars seem to work. Look at Powell there. She gets a penalty for smashing into drivers, but because she's not on that main line, she still makes up places. Jess Hawkins and Bajtska Vissa trying to go the long way around the outside of that curved final corner. Well, they were going to get places until Hawkins and Vissa connected and then dropped back some places. That helped out Volvend, who's suddenly up into 9th. Doing a much better job for her. Emma Kimmelainen, though, has hit the front in the Ikuri ahead of Marta Garcia. Then it's Marty pulling Koyama, Moore, Sidakova. There's Alice Powell in amongst it for the second race in a row. Gosha Rades gets a penalty there for some unsportsmanlike contact. And Fabian Volvend, again, using that outside line to great effect, sees her move up into 7th place. Clearly that win having good effect on her. Bruna Tomaselli, another poor qualifying position, but she's making up places, up into 13th ahead of Jess Hawkins. Bajtska Vissa down in 15th place. Second race in a row that she is really, really struggling. There's a Sabre Cook versus Ayla Agren. But they're in the points because Vicky Piria is well off the back in the Siren. I'm not quite sure what's happened there, but she's down in plumb last. Kimmelainen and Garcia pulling, and Marty, the first 4, well clear of Koyama. And then the rest all steam their way through. All quite nose to tail, as there is Jess Hawkins diving down the inside of Garcia Bellon. And here comes Jamie Chadwick fancying a look at Alice Powell for 9th place. Alice says, I don't think so. And suddenly Jamie Chadwick has her teammate Bruna to look at. And considering there was a good 9 places on the grid between them, the fact that they're now back together shows an awful lot about the ascendancy of Tomaselli across this Grand Prix. As still Marta Garcia leads the way. Emma Kimmelainen and Abby Pulling are there and thereabouts though. And they're going to stick to normal racing lines by the looks of it, but you still have to kind of wonder, okay, how's that all going to fare? Marty, Koyama, Volvend, there's Sarah Moore. Ever misses consistency. Up into 7. There's Alice Powell having a go at Sidorkova, not having any of it with 2 to go. Volvend versus Moore. And let's dive up front because I think it's Garcia versus Kimmelainen. And Kimmelainen retakes back her lead that she had a good 2 seconds advantage of a couple of laps ago, remember? So it is all for change. Marty's under attack by Koyama for 4th, and she's got it. And here comes Abby Pulling rounding outside of Marta Garcia for 2nd. Back onto the normal racing line. She's got such good straight line speed by taking that overtake route. And then she's into that overtake route again here, which makes me think Emma Kimmelainen could well be under attack. Koyama trying to overtake line 2. Not for long. No, overtake 1 doesn't work round there. Indeed, Koyama's really lost out, and she's going to lose 4th, I think, at that rate. As Marty goes through. And Abby Pulling is in the lead. Is she going to stay there? I think she is, because Kimmelainen's a bit too far back to be doing much else about it. So Abby Pulling, on the final hours of this race, yoinks the win. From Kimmelainen, Garcia, Marty, Koyama, Moore, Sidorkova, Volvend, Alice Powell down in 9. There's Tomaselli just beating out Abby Eaton and Jamie Chadwick. Rudest, Hawkins, Garcia. There's Caitlin Wood. Ayla Agren, Sabre Cook grabs 2 points. Bajtska Vissa only 1 point. Wow, that's 2 absolute stinkers on the trot. For Bajtska Vissa, Vicky Piria, the driver with no points that time around. She's not having the strongest of seasons. Okayama getting the finest lap there. So, what does that do to the championship? Well, Alice Powell is being eaten into by Abby Pulling in terms of her championship lead. That was 40 points not too long ago. It's not anymore, is it? It's coming down. Now it's 23. Marty then into 3rd ahead of Sidorkova. The gap between those continues to grow. Marta Garcia and Sarah Moore equal in points for 5th and 6th. Kimmelainen's closing in with her better results. Abby Volvend leaps up into 8th now after some good runs. Abby Eaton, Jamie Chadwick into 10th because she's leapfrogged Beitske-Visser, who's having an absolutely rough run of it lately. Rodest and Okayama equal on points. And that, to me, it looks like Ayla Agren has caught up with Vicky Piria down the bottom too. Only the Syrian team have yet to cross the 100-point mark. Alright. Istanbul Park. The circuit I really wished was back on the calendar. One of many, but I really do miss this one. Such fun to drive. And let's see whether the W Series 2021 Brigade feel the same way. Looks like Abby Pulling is pulling for pole at the moment. Nerea Marti got a really good run out of that chicane. That may well look like Nerea is going for pole herself too. It's 3 for the line. Does Pulling hold it? I think she does, but that was super, super close. She does, 0.02 of a second ahead of Marti. Powell in 3rd, Visser back on form now in 4th. Some surprises down towards the end there. Moore only 12th, Volvend 13. Chadwick only 15th. Alright, 6 laps, tyres should be good. Pulling leads the way. Cuts across the grass a little bit, but it still works for her. Powell having a go and getting 2nd place straight away there from Nerea Marti, who fancies it back again. Visser and Kymäläinen busy battling away behind. And it looks like Nerea is going to go all the way around the outside. Nice move there to take 2nd place away. And, well, I would say track limits for that, but never mind, Nerea. Into the lead you go. Then it's Pulling, Powell, Eaton. That's Visser getting around Kymäläinen, and so is Marta Garcia. Sudakova would have done if she'd not hit the back. Jess Hawkins gets around Okayama for 9th and 10th. Okayama fancying it back, but not able to do so. Ayla Agren up into 11th place, having a good showing this time around. Looks like she wants to get that back again from Bruno Tomaselli. Catches the inside line though, and that's going to allow the Scuderia cars of Belen Garcia and Sarah Moore to have a go and get through, and indeed both do. And Ayla Agren drops down to 14th. Volvend down to 16th. And Jamie Chadwick is absolutely dead last. What on earth has happened? Crikey. Nerea Marti, though, leads the way. That looks like someone stuck on the curb there. I'm not sure who that was. It was Emma Kymäläinen. Oh dear, Kymäläinen has dropped from about 3rd to 14th as Volvend gets through. Agren and Caitlin Wood scrabbling over themselves, I think, may well have saved Emma Kymäläinen from a fate worse than plummeting to the very back. Maybe that's what happened to Chadwick the previous lap around. We'll have to watch who ends up in the gravel here. As Powell, Visser gets through. There is Pulling and Garcia battling away quite happily. The Scuderia is now back up into the top 10, both of them. Ayla Agren back past Fabian. Rodest, Piria, Cook. Chadwick's rejoined back on the back to see if she can save herself from a 0-point score. Here comes Beitske-Visser. After 2 anonymous races, she quite fancies a podium. Perhaps a win too, with 2 to go. Marti, Powell, Visser, Eaton. Jess Hawkins up in 5th place. This is by far her best run. She had a few better qualifying runs, but this is her best race run so far, so excellent stuff for her. Pulling, Okayama, Garcia, Moore, Sudakova. That's Bruno Tomaselli keeping Emma Kymäläinen behind, and I think that's kind of ruined it for her as Chadwick versus Cook for the final point. Not the battle I thought I'd be talking about. As there's Visser holding off Abby Eaton, but only just, and for how much longer? The answer is not for much longer, and with that, Eaton gets a penalty, and that allows Jess Hawkins up into 3rd place. Could the Racing X driver suddenly spy a podium from absolutely nowhere in all of this? Fabulous run from her. Eaton and Visser, though, get much better runs out of that chicane. Going one side, one going the other. We'll soon see. I think Jess may well have held it off. Nerea Marti takes the win from Alice Powell in second. Jess Hawkins third for Racing X 2 and 3. Abby Eaton, Beitske Visser round out the top 5. Good return to form there from Beitske. And, well, what an absolutely crazy race up and down the field. Jess Hawkins getting the fastest lap there at the end. Garcia then into 6th, pulling 7. Belen Garcia into 8th, so another strong drive from her. Miki Koyama in the top 10 for the second time in a row. Irina Sidakova down in 10, ahead of Bruno Tomaselli. Sarah Moore looked like she'd made up more places than that, but dropped towards the very end. Volvend 13. Emma Kimmerleinen ended up in the gravel and lost 10 places to end up being down in 14th. Caitlin Wood, 15th. Ahead of Gosha Radest, Alia Agron. Vicky Piria, Jamie Chadwick did get past Sabre Cook towards the end there, but even looking at just lap times in general, she's down in the 33s, which is just not where everyone else was. So a terrible time for Jamie. Alice Powell, though, almost has the championship. She just needs to be like better than 16th in this final race to get it. Nerea Marti then in second ahead of Alvi Pulling. That's all to play for. Then they're kind of free from Marta Garcia. Mathematically they are. And Sidorkova and Sarah Moore and Abby Eaton, they've all got an awful lot to battle with, 4 to 7. Volvind and Kimmerleinen and Visser, I think, are all together. Who's going to be the best Veloce? Tomaselli or Chadwick? Garcia, Hawkins and Koyama have been inseparable all season. Where will they win out? They've leapfrogged Gosha Radest, to be fair. Caitlin Wood, I think, is clear of Vicky Piria and Ayla Agrin, who are now equal on points, with Ayla's better second half of the season compared to Vicky. And Sabre Cook, I don't think she's going to get into double digits, but that would be lovely for her if she could. At the final round at Jerez. So, out from the final corner we come. It looks like Marta Garcia quite fancies getting pole on home soil as the cars make them way around this beautiful resplendent circuit. Oh, she catches the grass though, and that's pushed Irina Sidorkova and Gosha Radest up into the front of the field. And well, after saying that Gosha Radest had been leapfrogged by a couple of drivers, is she going to pull out a surprise pole? What? What? No. Irina Sidorkova quite fancies sorting that out right at the last moment, but it's still going to be a front row start by Gosha, and that to me screams we're going to have all kinds of problems with grassy knolls throughout all of this. Belen Garcia, another fab run in third. Ahead of Visser, Jess Hawkins up in fifth. Garcia, Kimmerleinen, Koyama, Volvend and Tomaselli. Where's our championship, people? Well, clearly we got issues, babes. Pulling Vicky Piria, I think that's her best of the season in 12th. Chadwick, Agrin, Sabre Cook 15th. I think that's her best of the season. And we had problems for Sarah Moore, Abby Eaton, Alice Powell and Nerea Marti blocking out the final back 2 rows of the grid. Probably because they're really highly rated as drivers. So I think this is a lesson to myself, is that if I ever see something that's got drivers that have got a 100% rating, knock them down a bit so that they don't end up getting caught on all of the grass and curbs in the future. As Irina Sidorkova leads the way. Belen Garcia says, I'll have that though, thank you very much. And she takes over the lead from Visser. Then it's Sidorkova. Jess Hawkins now up into 4th. Radest already dropped down to 6th by the looks of it as Marta Garcia gets around Kimmerleinen. That's Vicky Piria. Well, it's taken to the final round of the season, but there she is, peaking up in 7th place for a brief moment in time. Now holding up her Syrian teammate, or hoping to hold up others so that her Syrian teammate might be able to get through. Ooh, no, she blocks Koyama, and that allows Kimmerleinen through as this all gets a little bit messy. Same up front there, as that's Hawkins versus Radest versus Sidorkova. But Belen Garcia that leads the way from Visser, Sidorkova, Radest, Hawkins, Volvend, Garcia. There's Vicky Piria who's about to take 7th position back again. And indeed she does. Marta Garcia will have something to say about that, I am sure. Maybe she can't. Who knows? What's going on with our championship leaders, though? Look, Alice Powell's in last place. What's going on? I mean, Sidakova is not the one who's within enough points to be able to do anything about it. But at least she's up there having her bash. Belen Garcia leads the way, though. There's Regest Volvend. Jess Hawkins is about to have another go with getting 5th place. Volvend gets a better straight line speed advantage over it though. Vicky Piria up into now 8th place, but that car does look a wee bit damaged. In fact, they all do, to be fair, as Marta Garcia takes a absolutely blinding move to get round the Italian racer. There's Bruna Tomaselli, Koyama, Chadwick trying to get through, trying to make something of her season. Don't think that will happen on this final race, as the midfield is an absolute hot mess. Oh dear. There's Woods, Cook. There's Moore, Eaton, Marty and Powell. Those back 4 just not able to do anything, and it's turned into a very bizarre final round where the people that are going to win the championship are going to be dead last. Belen Garcia though leads the way from Visser and Sidakova. Radest, Hawkins, Volvend, Garcia. There's Chadwick now up into 8th. Ayla Agrin into 9th. She's going to grab a top 10 in her final round. She's got enough of a gap, potentially, to do it, because they're all starting to pull away from themselves. Caitlin Wood up into 12th. That would be a good run for her. Sabre Cook up into 13th. Well, I said she won't get into double digits. I may well be wrong. This reminds me of the reverse grid race that they had, where the people who were always in pretty much last suddenly were battling for the wins and seemed to be quite happy staying there, as other cars are looking very knackered, and what were looking great for Syrian early on, now suddenly they're the last couple of cars because they're absolutely smashed to bits. Abby Pullin, Alice Powell, Nerea Marti all squabbling over those last places, and here's a squabble for the lead. Garcia versus Sidakova versus Visser. Sidakova gets onto the grass. Belen Garcia tries desperately to hold on to the victory. I think she's going to do so for another couple of corners, but Bajtska Visser again using that slipstream, going to go around the outside. No, she can't do anything about it. Let's take a look at the back. I think we're okay. But yeah, Belen Garcia has it. Sidakova, with the crazy weird overtake lines that go on with this particular mod, look like they're going to yoink second away from her, but it's Belen Garcia having a fabulous final race, winning the Grand Prix ahead of Sidakova, Visser, Radest, Garcia, Jess Hawkins, Fabian Volven, Jamie Chadwick. Ayla Agrin gets a top 10 finish on the final round, ahead of Emma Kimmelainen. And where is she? Where is she? Alice Powell is going to win the championship by finishing plumb last. What a fever dream. Oh well. Belen Garcia takes the victory. Okay, let's have a quick scan down the order. Chadwick gets a top 10. Ayla Agrin, her best finish of the season. Same, I think, for Caitlin Wood and Sabre Cook, who gets almost her entire season's points in one race, doubled with that 14th place. And Alice Powell, plumb last. I'm going to triple check. Yeah, she did win, because it was Nerea Marti that was the closest, who also had an atrocious race. So, well done. Alice Powell wins the championship in the bizarrest circumstance. Ahead of Nerea Marti. Abby Pulling moves into 3rd, though, ahead of... keeps 3rd place. Ahead of Irina Sidakova, who grabs 4th because of that excellent final round. Marta Garcia is 5th. Moore kept 6th ahead of Bajtska Visser, who beat home Abby Eaton with her poor final round. Fabian Volvend slips down to 9th. Emma Kimmelainen grabs the top 10. Belen Garcia moves up into 11th with that win. A bizarre, 2-round absolute explosion of points, covering almost nearly, well, probably a third of her points, if not a bit more. Chadwick beat out teammate Bruna Tomaselli by a single point. Jess Hawkins, with that top 5 finish, moves into 14th, or keeps 14th. Gosha Radest leapfrogs Miki Koyama for 15 and 16. Caitlin Wood, Cape 17th, which she needed to do because Ayla Agrin had a great final round there, and that pulled her well clear of Vicky Piria. And Sabre Cook did get double points, in double digits in the end. And the W Series Academy team wins from Racing X. There we go. W Series 2021 complete. Bit of an odd one, that one, but I hope you found that entertaining. And if you wanted to download any of those mods and tracks, they're all available on the Steam Workshop for Ultimate Racing 2D2. Thanks for watching, take care.